Configuration management tools. In this video, I am going to talk about some tools for configuration, for automating the configuration. But before talking about the configuration management tools, first we should understand why we need two configuration management tools. After that, we can talk about some of the configuration management tools that we can use them. But in this video, we will not configure them, only we are learning about them and also some of the details, some of the specification about them. And finally, you can choose which one is better for your requirement. The first thing that I'm going to talk about that is the need to configuration management tools. Look at this scenario. In this scenario, as you can see, we have one network. In this network, we have multiple switches and some routers and also some IP phones and some end device. Okay. And as you know, for configuration of each device in the Cisco, each network device in Cisco, first we should connect to the device. For example, you can use console connection, you can use telnet connection or SSH connection. After that, you can go to the configuration mode. Okay, means to the global config mode, and after that you can configure, and finally the configuration will be available on the running config of that device. Okay, if you want, you can save the configuration to the NVRAM with the copy running config to a startup config, and now our configuration is residing in the NVRAM. Maybe you need to configure some features. For example, between routers you need to configure routing protocols, and also maybe we need to configure other features. Finally, we can save all of this configuration on the NVRAM. This method of configuration is easy and is simple, but you know that we need to configure each device independently. For example, assume that we have 100 switches. We need to configure 100 times each. For example, about all of the switches, we need to configure 100 times maybe same features. Okay, in this 100 switches, and also assume that we have 100 routers. Again, we need to configure 100 router with routing protocols, with IP address assignment, and some other things. This means that in a medium to large scale, about the configuration, we have a time consuming and also high overhead of the administration. Okay, and also this is an error prone task. You know that maybe we miss some of the commands in the one device, and also it is possible to configuring some device a little different with other devices, and this is not give us a consistent configuration. Because of that, the simplest method of configuration means that a device by device configuration is suitable for smaller networks. When you are working in a large enterprise with multiple switch and routers and maybe other devices, this is not so easy, okay, to configure each device or to configure with a per device behavior. Okay, you know that this method is time consuming, and also it has a high overhead of administration. Also, it is hard a little, and after that it is error prone. Because of that, we need some management tools, some the application that with that application we can configure the network from one place, maybe easier than before. In this video, we will talk about the configuration management tools. But before talking about the configuration management tools, we need to understand the problems that maybe we encounter with them when we don't have the configuration management tool, such as the features that I have mentioned. Now we can imagine one network, and after that, without configuration management tools in that network, we are encountering some problems. Let me to talk about some of them. The first challenge that maybe we encounter with the device configuration, per device configuration, is the configuration drift. What is the configuration drift? For understanding this problem, let me to talk about one example. Assume that in one network, okay, we have two administrators. The administrator 1, let me to write here administrator 1, and also the administrator 2. Okay, we have two admin in this network, both of them can configure the network. Assume that also in this network we have a change management system. A change management system is a system that when you are configuring one device, you should for example, right here, you should notify here that I have configured one switch, one router. This is my new configuration. This is the change. This is the date. This is the time, and this is my name and some other things. Actually, in change management system, we have a history of all of the changes, and because of that, here we can see the latest configuration files and also who changed the configuration in the last time, and also what is happened and some other useful information. Because of that, each administrator, when want to configure one device, should update the change management system. Okay, but assume that in a busy day, in the for example day with many tasks, you are receiving one ticket about the problem in your network. For example, one of the users now using a ticket, okay, and in that ticket maybe say that I don't have connectivity to one resources such as a server, okay, and one of the administrators, for example admin 1, trying to find the problem, and after finding the problem, the admin 1, okay, is changing the configuration and is doing some configuration. Assume that in this switch the admin 1 is doing some configuration, and normally the admin 1 should reflect this configuration on the change management system, but because of many tasks that this admin now has, the update of change management system, okay, may be delayed to other time. But finally the admin 1 forget to update the change management system, and this configuration change now doesn't reflect to the change management system, and in the change management system we don't have the latest configuration, okay. And also maybe again this phenomena happened in another for example device. Admin 2 is changing one of the configuration in other switch in a busy day, and again over the time this change doesn't reflect to the change management system. And this is happening in the real networks. If you work in the real networks, you can see in a day we are encountering with many problems, okay. For some of them we don't have enough time for reflecting the change in the change management system, okay. Maybe you write the change in one paper and you want to for example reflect this change to the change management system in another time, but for some reasons you forget to do the update of change management system, or maybe the paper is lost and some other things. Because of that, finally we have a configuration drift in the change management system and also in the real configuration, okay. And after that, because of this function, this reality, okay, we are encountering some problems. For example, the on device means per device manual configuration result to the configuration drift over the time, okay. And this means that when a user or one of the administrators try to find the information about the history of configuration in the change management system, he or she can't, okay, because some of the configuration doesn't reflect to the change management system. And after that, you know that we are using change management system for finding the latest configuration. For example, assume that here in this company we have a ticketing system, and this ticketing system has some engineers, okay, and when we are receiving one ticket, the engineer doesn't log into the switch. The engineer maybe can verify the change management system documentation for latest update, for latest running config, because here in the change management system we don't have the latest configuration, the latest update, okay. The ticket administrator or the network engineer cannot find the reason of the problem, because here we don't have the latest change or the latest for example, configuration. Also, when you want to verify to for example, identify some of the problems, okay, you need to find who changed the configuration and what is the configuration, new configuration command, and why this configuration command was added to the switch or to the router, and some other things related to time, related to date. But we don't have this information in the change management system, and this means that with the per device configuration, finally we will have the configuration drift in between the for example, our devices and also the change management system. In some companies, okay, maybe when they are encountered with the for example, this similarity between the change management system and the device, they choose the latest version of the change management system, and some of them maybe choose the configuration in the switch. Okay, finally we can say we will have many problems because of the configuration drift, and this is a fact that per device configuration finally will result to the configuration drift. Maybe you think that